युवाओं का कार्यक्रम युवा वाणी में आपका स्वागत है। मीडियम वेव 225.2 मीटर और FM बैंड 100.1 मेगाहर्ट्ज पर ये आकाशवाणी का तेजू केंद्र है।
I am Sirome Khushialigri with my team from Lohit Youth Library welcome you to this session of Yuva Vani program. Since this month is the month of Van Mahotsava, we have chosen our theme as environment, forest and community. With this, we start the program with a poem recitation by Keshilu on elephant and the Tragopan.
Vikram Seth is one of the most renowned writers and poets in English in modern India. Here is The Elephant and the Tragopan, one of his top most thought-provoking poems in Forest and Man. A dam is being planned in a forest area. The disturbed animals gather in a meeting. Here, the elephant speaks on behalf of all animals. We who give him food and work, and yet have never earned his gratitude. He grabs a substance as of right to quench and spur his appetite. Nor will he grant us truth or grace to rest secure in any place. Sometimes he worships us as gods, or sings of us at estate fort, for fashion fables, myths and stories to celebrate our deeds and glories. And yet, despite this fertile fuss, when has he truly cared for us? He sees the planet as his fief, where every hair or drop or leaf or seed or blade or grain of sand is destined for his mouth or hand. If he is thirsty, we must thirst. For all creatures, man comes first. If he needs room, then we must fly. And if he hungers, we must die. And the elephant so prophetically remarks, as every bird and mammal knows, when the road comes, the forest goes.
Now, here is a book review of Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, a marine biologist. In late 1950s, Carson had focused her attention on environmental conservation, especially environmental problems that she believed were caused by the chemical pesticides, mainly DDT as the prime example of the time. She points to the chemical industry as the main culprit for environmental degradation and pollution of rivers. Her constant campaigns led to ban of DDT in the United States. In the same way, an Indian edition of Silent Spring has brought a similar tragedy appears to be unfolding in India. Like for example in Kerala. The Keralan district was worst hit by endosulfan poisoning. Endosulfan is meant to destroy tea mosquito, a pest that affects cashew yields. These pesticides are carcinogenic, affect hormonal balance and the immune system and cause genetic aberrations. Similarly, in our district itself, farmers and non-farmers are adopting more chemical fertilizers and pesticides to destroy the weeds. We have seen more usage of Roundup chemical for killing weeds around the houses as well as in large agricultural fields. These excessive uses of such chemicals are causing damages to the soil. This book, The Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, has many things to teach us in Arunachal for planners as well as farmers. We appeal to you to read this book. Now let's us listen to Jack Prelutsky, a very popular poet who helps us to look at the funny side of life. Here is our library volunteers reciting one of his poems on animals.
Hello listeners, we all say we know the sounds that animals make. But really, do you? Here is a poem, I know all the sounds that animals make.
We know all the sounds that animals make. We know all the sounds that animals make. And make them all day from the moment we wake. And make them all day from the moment we wake. We roll like a mouse. And we fur like a moose. We hoot like a duck. And we moo like a goose. We squawk like a cat. And we quack like a frog. We oink like a bear. And we hong like a hook. We croak like a cow. And we bark like a bee. No wonder the animals marvel at us. No wonder the animals marvel at us. We know all the sounds that animals make. We know all the sounds that animals make.
Now we know the sounds of the animals. Northeast is rich in biodiversity, in which rhino is one of the most important animal. Now Bahailu will read from a book which has immortalized the rhino of Kaziranga.
Arup Kumar Datta, a Padma Shri awardee who is known for his mystery and adventure novels. I would like to read extracts from his Kaziranga Trail, which has been translated into several international languages. Let's move to the Kaziranga Wildlife Sanctuary. Dhanai, Bubul and Jonti sat on a young cow elephant, Makhoni, and surveyed the rolling plains of Kaziranga. Before them lay unbroken stretches of elephant grass and low shrubs. A few tall trees with large leaves broke the monotony of the landscape. 14-year-old Dhanai was the eldest of the three boys. His father was a mahot for the Kaziranga Tourist Department. They had 3 elephants at their village home. Makhoni was one of them. Dhanai was in charge of her. He washed her, fed her, talked to her, and taught her tricks. A bond of friendship had grown between the two. Bubul and Jonti were twins, 13 years old. They were the sons of the village headman and were remarkably identical. Only those who knew them well could make out one from the other. Bubul was left-handed, while Jonti was right-handed. The 3 boys were friends and were in the same class in the village school. It was the summer vacation and the boys were out together seeing places and seeking adventure. They knew the area like the palms of their hands. This morning, they had planned to cut across the sanctuary and go right up to the banks of Brahmaputra river. Usually, the sanctuary is alive with sounds, the twittering of birds, the chirping of crickets, and the occasional grunts of a rhino. But this morning, a silence prevailed. Herds of deer stood still, sniffing the air. The atmosphere had suddenly become warm and sultry. Thick black clouds were gathering in the western skies. "Looks like we are heading for a storm," said Bubul. "Yes, it is going to be a big storm," Jonti affirmed. Dhanai urged Makhoni to stop and look at the horizon. "Lightning and thunder? We had better turn back." "Oh no," the twins protested. "We enjoy getting wet. We were going to swim in the river anyway." "I'm not thinking of us," said Dhanai. "I'm thinking of Makhoni. You know she gets all nervous in a storm. If it was just a rain, she wouldn't mind. But lightning, that is one thing she is terribly afraid of." So they turned back, took a different shorter route. "Look!" Jonti shouted, pointing to the left. About 100 yards away, a dozen vultures were squattering in the ground. More of them circled low overhead, waiting to land. "Over there is a dead animal, I'm sure," asserted Bubul. "Let's find out," said Dhanai, turning Makhoni towards the flock of vultures. At their approach, the vultures moved away, squawking in protest. Makhoni went up to the pit, and the boys gazed in horror. What happened next? What did they see? If you want to know, you can visit Bambusa Library, Tezu, and read the Kaziranga Trail by Arup Kumar Datta.
Now we'll have a group discussion on environment, forest and community. The moderator is Shirumai Khushali Kri along with Manisha Halai, Jinam Singh Adong, Pialu Kambrai, Bithem Marai, Anjangmai Mam, Bahailu Rangma and I, Keshilu Tayan.
Since this season is producing a lot of agricultural products, example, paddy, maize, pineapple and other antiopias like fern, banana flowers, bamboo shoot, etc., let us first discuss about the state of agriculture in Arunachal Pradesh with respect to Mishmi community. Let's see how agriculture has progressed all these years, its issues and how it might be in the future.
Earlier, many of us were unfamiliar about various variety of crops, but these days we have been introduced to these varieties. Let me share an interesting fact about alubari and how alubari got its name. Our first MP, Chau Khamon Gohai of Arunachal Pradesh, brought an idea of potato cultivation from Shillong to Lohit and started cultivating near Chongkham, and the area came to be known as Alubari, the land of potato. Since then, there has been diversification of crops like maize, tea and many vegetables. And Turung area produces maximum quantity of pumpkins in Lohit.
I'd like to add on to Anjangmai's point. In Arunachal Pradesh, 80% of the family members are predominantly dependent on the agriculture. In Arunachal Pradesh, the farmers produce the crops which gives higher prices. So mostly in in Mishmi Hills, the farmers cultivate the orange orchard and rubber plantations. So they do continuously this plantation for many years, which affects the soil health and drains the soil fertility. Here, when the soil fertility goes away, then the farmers are tend to use fertilizers which destroys the soil fertility. Then here the farmers are not aware about the agrochemicals for the crops and how to use those judiciously. Here, this agrochemical ushered in Green Revolution, which aided our country from being deficient to a food surplus. Malaysia rainforest, which was devastated because of the palm oil plantations, and we don't want our Mishmi land to be another example of Malaysia.
I would like to add one more example regarding this issue from our own country, state Kerala. Kerala used to plant rubber plantation by destroying their own native forest, which had led to large change in climate like deforestation, soil erosion and pollution. But luckily half of Keralites woke up now and they are planting tons of trees to revive their native forest. So Lohit and Arunachal, we are not late for this. It's a wake up call.
So we are also practicing zoom cultivation, and we are destroying large portions of forest, and because of this it is leading to forest degradation and habitat fragmentation. Like we can take example of Trung, which is located in Lohit district. So it used to be a continuous forest, but now it has been fragmented into small parts and we can only see farms and there's no forest.
Okay, moving forward. Now, since we have discussed about the issues, how do we ensure food security for our future generation of Lohit?
In my opinion, we can ensure food security for our family by reducing post-harvest food loss and waste. And if we are control about food loss and waste, then it will reduce the greenhouse gas emission and other environmental impacts.
Those who are educated should give awareness to farmers, like we should make our farmers more aware of scientifically sound of agriculture practice, examples agroforestry, organic farming, crop rotation. We can also diversify our cropping patterns including mushroom cultivation, which is very widely famous in our country.
Okay, so I'd also like to touch a small point on it. Like we can also practice a traditional method, like we can dry the meat which can be used for years. So such practices should be conserved, which helps in food security. Like gundruk in English, like dry spinach, we can keep it for a long time, and also bamboo shoots.
Thank you for mentioning about the traditional practice of our Mishmi culture. Now let us discuss about how the Mishmi lifestyle has changed, which has always been closely connected with the environment over these years.
We all know that migration is one of the factors which had brought drastic change in Mishmi lifestyle. Example, I too have migrated from Anzau to Lohit. So it's like for our accessibility of better education maybe, but it had brought change in biodiversity as well. The population in the plain area increased, which gives them easy access to well infrastructure and quality education. But a touch with forest and traditional ecological knowledge, which is known as TEK, gets disconnected with people. We are forgetting our own traditional way of reserving our forests.
But even because of development, our local people becoming less dependent on biomass as a source of energy. The biomass, mainly in the form of wood, it is the oldest form of energy used by humans.
In my opinion, education can also be the major factor for changing Mishmi lifestyle. Like in olden days, they don't have exposed to education. Now the world has changed. So nowadays, we generations are getting educations into different fields, and now we are much knowledgeable about the job opportunities, and we are much knowledge about how can we earn income. In olden days, other than hunting, they don't see any other ways of earning money.
Yes, but we can't deny the fact that we are also forgetting our traditional knowledge of medicinal plants and shrubs and the ethnobotany associated with it. As our modern lifestyle and education has taken most of our time and we are not in touch with the forest. For example, we know only about the Mishmi Tita, scientific name Coptis Tita, which is commonly known in the community, while the others are left forgotten. Okay, the one reason could be the widespread use of modern medicine in our daily life.
Like other parts of India, Arunachal is also seeing a lot of development these days. What do you all think about the development that has happened or is going to happen in Arunachal? How do you think it will affect the way of life of Mishmi or the biodiversity?
As the youth now has seen or enjoyed the serene beauty of forest as well as seeing the changes, the forest and biodiversity have been destroyed by the construction of dams or highways. Like deforestation leads to extinction of wild animals and exotic plant species. Floods are the major threat to the villages. Like at present, there's a loss of non-timber forest product in Lohit. Like when communities of our own people will accept the responsibility of protecting the biodiversity, then there won't be any greed that can break the villages or their contemplation. Also, the locals of Tawang oppose building a small dam in Jenimtham Valley of Tawang. This is because the dam will really submerge a large part of the area, including settlements of people. The locals and scientists also oppose the dam mainly due to the wintering site of black-necked cranes, which is vulnerable, and due to the local religious beliefs of the Mompas community.
Environmentalists feel that Arunachal is not suitable for dam constructions because if there are dam constructions, there will be a great loss in the biodiversity. Like currently in our capital city, Itanagar, they are badly devastated by natural disaster, landslides and floods. It's all happened because of excessive deforestation in the name of so-called development. So let's start afforestation right from our own surrounding by planting trees.
हमारे मिश्मी समाज में ज़्यादातर काम चाहे वो खेती जाना हो या घर का काम हो, महिलाएं ही करती है ज़्यादा पुरुषों के तुलना में। उदाहरण के लिए ले लीजिए एक संतरे के बागान को, जिसे समय समय में सिर्फ महिलाएं ही देखते हैं, लेकिन पुरुष इसमें भाग नहीं लेते हैं। और जैसे एक कहावत है कि एक हाथ से ताली नहीं बजती, ठीक उसी तरह वह संतरे की बागान सूख जाती है, जिसके बाद हम जंगल साफ करते हैं ताकि वापस एक संतरे के बागान बना सकें, जिसका बुरा असर पड़ता है वातावरण पर, क्योंकि हमें पेड़ काटना पड़ता है। तो हमारे कहने का तात्पर्य यह है कि अगर पूरी परिवार एक समान काम करे तो समय भी बचेगा, वातावरण पर बुरा असर भी नहीं होगा और उन्नति भी होगा।
Since you and I are the present youths of Lohit district, now as a youth, what do you think we can do for our district to conserve biodiversity?
Young people today need to become more environmentally conscious. So we all know that China is one of the large populated country in the world, but also China is succeeding in recycling over 25% of plastic waste despite being one of the largest producers of plastic. This shows that success lies in the grassroots management performed by the youth and communities, a crucial role in the micromanagement of resources, both man-made and nature. We should realize that this management of waste it's under our control. It's our responsibility to take this, not depending on others. Individuals should take initiative instead of depending on government.
We young youths can play an active role in protecting and improving the environment. So first we can start it from our home itself. Like we can encourage for kitchen gardens. We should have youths who can adopt such lifestyle, which would further help us to live a healthy life and secure our environment. The first initiative can be done is that we can focus more on kitchen gardening and herbal plantation besides of weeding our compounds and encourage the youth to do the same.
As a youth, we the Lohit Youth Library volunteers have been conducting various awareness programs in order to protect our environment. Every year on 5th June, World Environment Day, we have been conducting street play, plant trees in Wakro Circle, where we encourage people to safeguard trees. and encourage them to plant trees and also tell them the importance of Van Mahotsava. We plant trees which are beneficial to the community like Pongamia, Lakshmi Taru, Sunaro and etc.
So, as a youth, here is a few words from my side. We as a youth must practically follow to conserve the traditional folklore and taboos. Mismi community follows certain taboos which directly or indirectly helps in the biodiversity conservation. For example, Mismi people do not hunt tigers because tigers are believed to be brothers of the community. Similarly, Hulluk, Mongoose, Langur, Dhor have certain taboos. So, such taboos help in ecological balance as well as sustain the animals from getting vulnerable.
Mishmi people have a very strong belief and ritual towards the nature. Through certain ritual or beliefs only, the tribe is playing a vital role in the biodiversity conservation. Example, sacred groves, trees felling rituals or big and dense grounded trees are prohibited to cut and certain other areas which are believed sacred are not disturbed. Such taboo practices indirectly conserves the biodiversity from deforestation or plastic destruction in the nature.
As the youth, we the youth can also give the awareness through the social platforms. Just for example, a few months ago, the Amala organization started by the groups of Mishmi girls to keep the community clean, safer and green. So it's a very good initiative taken by them. They are reaching out to the community through the social platforms. Just like them, we the youth can also come forward to keep our environment clean and beautiful.
While it is important to ensure that Arunachal Pradesh get the development they deserve, we must also make sure that due to our selfish need, it should not lead to biodiversity loss, forest fragmentation and disconnection with our traditional methods. So dear listeners, hope you had a great time listening to this important discussion and we hope that you think globally and act locally. So now, we are concluding our Yuvavani program on environment, forest and community by a poem, I Shall Protect the Forest by American poet Lenore Hattrick.
Have you ever really looked at trees and seen their perfect beauty? If you have, you know that their protection is a stern and sacred duty. Protection of the spreading grandeur through many summers grown. Safeguarding of those temples green, where the song of bird is known. When next you see the white-flanked branches of a graceful pine, think to yourself, a sacred service is part and parcel of mine. I resolve to protect all trees forever and guard their heavens and duty. To save the forests of our land shall ever be my duty. To save the forests of our land shall ever be my duty.
तो आज का युवाओं का कार्यक्रम युवा वाणी यहीं पर समाप्त होता है। हम फिर हाजिर होंगे लेकर कुछ और मनोरंजक एवं ज्ञानवर्धक जानकारियों के साथ। तब तक के लिए इस कार्यक्रम के निर्माता और प्रस्तुतकर्ता गोपाल राय और तकनीकी सहयोगी अजित रियंग को दीजिए इजाजत। नमस्कार।